When stones converge and shadows swell, I walk the path none dare to tell. A covenant forged in fire's breath, a whispered vow, a dance with death. Through walls where secrets drift like smoke, the council speaks, their silence broke. I am the blade, the silent hand, a shadow cast across the land.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Ashen Insight podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the second weekend of Alpha 2 testing. One side note to note, with the channel going forward, we're going to continue posting our weekly videos, but we're going to be posting them in the format of covering the previous weekend or week's testing phase. So we're going to have consistent uploads every week regarding that, as well as giving us the ability to sprinkle in extra videos of topics that we want to talk about specifically that aren't maybe specifically related to the weekend testing. So keep an eye out for that. We've been dropping little things here and there. I don't know if anybody saw the short of the PvP that we dropped today, but there could be little videos sprinkled in throughout the week in addition to these main ones. In lieu of Ethan's absence today, we have a special guest joining us. He is another one of the officers with us here in the guild who is serving in our PvE division. Mr. Worldwide, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Mr. Worldwide. I'm happy to be here.
Let's go. So, weekend number 2 had some changes, some improvements from weekend number 1. Let's get a general sense of the feeling of how weekend 2 went in comparison to weekend 1.
Big stability improvement. There used to be lots of crashes, lots of desyncs, and mobs weren't really working. Mob aggro, you'd aggro them and they'd stand there for, I don't even know, it felt like 5 or 10 seconds or something before they really started chasing you. And now they're working properly, like they actually work. So that's huge. Another thing was the DDoS, right?
Mm-hmm.
They got past the DDoS, whatever protection they put up, it worked. We didn't have any of the same huge issues logging in as before. Those are the big things that come to my mind.
Oh, we got the mounts. The mounts.
Yep.
Oh man, we can run a little bit faster.
We can be slightly faster than a sprinting person.
We can gallop. It's nuts.
You can try to catch up to the bard running straight ahead of you on his own feet.
Yeah, we got more of a chance against the bard now. We can keep up.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice. It's good to see that because thinking back to the early testing and stuff when originally we just got the first like wolf mount or something, and it was like, whoa, this is crazy. Is it faster? Not really, but look at this palace cat. Whoa, it looks sick. Is it faster? Nope, but it looks really cool. And it's like, oh man, this is really cool. This is dope. But now we're seeing speed increases between different mounts. It's great. It's awesome.
And you can actually see how much faster because it says right on there. Before it didn't.
Yep.
Did it not say it before what the speed was?
No, it was just a mount. Had no flavor text, just a horse.
Just
a guess about it.
Well, and what did you say the speed was? It was like 135 or 140 for the mount?
Horse?
Yeah.
The horse used to be 130, now it's 135, and they added
That's
the
right.
sprint ability. So you can sprint for 5 seconds every 30 seconds. And then the tier 1 mounts that you can tame, like the wolf and the palace cat, those are 140, so they're 5% faster.
So they're 5% faster, and a person's sprint is what, 140? So sprint is still slightly faster, but with the horse sprint overall, horse is still faster.
Well, yeah, because you can't sprint the whole time. You run out of
Right.
stamina.
Right. Unless you're a bard.
But I will say the mayor mount. Oh my.
Dude.
That thing fast. Oh my
Those
god.
actually
I'm
look sick.
zooming. I'm
Yep.
just an airplane. Dude, just going in and out. I was making runs last weekend. Just, who needs to drop off at the node? Oh, I do. I'll see you in a minute. Zoom. Get there, take all the stuff, drop it off the node, and then make it to somebody else before that first person would have ever made it back to the node. It's nuts. It's great. It's awesome.
Not gonna lie, it makes me a little salty. Yeah, exactly. It makes me salty.
Whoa.
Salty AF to be running my peasant ass on the ground and seeing a mayor just going like, because you could basically just turn on auto run and then just I can go take a leak and then like your character will be in Miraleth
I
and
did
like
that a few times.
I know it's stupid.
I did that a few times. Well, so here's the thing though: is when we're flying, it's kind of sketchy a bit. I mean, it's
Is
not
it?
obviously not as much as it would be on the ground, but yeah, you got to factor in height. So if I'm high as fuck and I'm in the clouds, right, and I'm just auto flying and I'm just going straight, well, each time you get through a new server, it has potential
Oh.
to just your guy just stops flying, and so I just go meow and just fall. You just skydive like just falling. I remember I was looking at my phone and I was doing that, and I was like, "What's going on?" And I see it, boom, and I take like 150, I think, for the mount or something like that. I forgot how much it was, but
God
the health
damn.
dropped and it like made a hurt noise. I was like, "Oh my, I feel bad. What's going on?" Yeah, it was terrible, but
God damn.
that's one thing to note.
Okay.
It was cool though. Really
Yeah,
liked it.
those mayor mounts are pretty cool. Couple other changes is the new zone, Samua's Hope, that they added in for stability purposes to help people not, congregate in Lion's Hold too much, so that Lion's Hold didn't cause people to crash. And I know I've quested there. Neo has not, and
Nope, not
Worldwide
me.
has not.
Oh, I
couldn't find
touched it.
You
I
touched
touched
it.
it in one of the early tests. Back when it was blocked off, they had an invisible wall up that went way out in the ocean, but the water didn't work. It was just visual, so you could walk down on the bottom of the ocean and go around that wall. So I looked at it once, but there wasn't really anything there.
Oh, well, yeah. Now
I
it's
ran there many a times thinking it was a path into Ale Ruins, and I'd just hit the gate and be like,
Mhm.
Yeah, go all the way around.
yeah.
Yeah,
Suck.
and for those that don't know, so like when you start, you spawn at the Aelin portal, I guess, and then when you leave, instead of taking an immediate right to go to Lion's Hold, you take an immediate left, and you can go through a gate that was previously blocked, and now you're into New Samia, where you can do the plunder quest, or not the plunder quest. We'll talk about that, but you can do the Sweat of Your Brow quest in Samia's Hope, and get your mount that way, and it gives you a slightly different mount than you would get in Lion's Hold as well. It gives you that mount with the brown spotted coloration to it, so a little bit different if you're into that kind of thing. But I think the Sweat of Your Brow quest is definitely more fluid, or if not efficient, to do in Samia's Hope, because it's a little bit smaller area. It doesn't have you running around like crazy in Lion Hold quite as much. So I think we're going to see a lot of people doing their early stuff in Samia's Hope.
I think I will, because first thing I do once I hit like level 3, 4, I always run straight out, buy a scroll, buy power food, right, and then I get my starting accessories from the Stoneworks, and those are all out in that direction. So you're not heading the opposite direction, right? It's just going to be a little bit faster.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Samia's Hope, that's going to be, is that the Veyloon starting area as compared to?
I think that's
Kalar?
what they said.
Mhm.
Supposedly.
I'm not sure.
I do feel like I remember seeing that. Another thing is the plunder quest has been changed to the point where now you can't just go and immediately pick up plunder quest and get from level 1 to 6 in 45 minutes. You actually have to go to each of the nodes, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you go to each of the nodes to pick up the quest, and you complete them in that node, or it'll take you to another node. I can't remember.
Right. So you pick up one in whatever city. You have to complete said one. I forgot which one's the first one and what node to go to for it. But you do it. You have to do it in chronological order. It won't let you skip around and pick them all up, go do all the quests, turn them all in. You can't do that. You have to do one. You've completed it. Go pick up the other one. Go complete it. Go to the next town, and so on and so forth.
Right.
Rest in peace, my boy.
Yep.
Yep. It was lit while it lasted, fam.
It was so nice, and it's unfortunate that that is the way that it is, because none of the other quests in the game right now are really worth it. So while the plunder quest was obviously broken because you could get to from level 1 to 6 in 45 minutes, it was still like the only really good way to get XP that was actually worth anything, in my opinion. Hopefully
from questing, right?
Yeah, from questing.
Yep.
It's like,
Because there's how many of them are there? There's 6, and they give an
7.
average of like 20k XP, and all the other quests they give you like 900.
Right, it gives you
You
less
know,
than
it's
why-
one.
funny. I'd say speaking of just quests in a general sense, I know there's one that gives a shield. Hopefully, supposedly, I've never finished it because now it used to be you couldn't turn in or finish the second part because the ruins where you had to go into were just floating, and so you can't get into that. So the next patch came out, and I was like, oh, it works so crazy. So I'd finished the first part, and I go to do it, and it's like, all right, you need a key. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck's this key at. So
Wait, is this part of the
stuck
Plunder
again.
quest line?
No, just a
Oh,
different quest. And so I was
oh,
like, there's the only other thing is like these quests are almost like, oh, this is gonna be fun. And then I mean, you just go on a search on like for different things and kind of slips your mind, forget about it. You grind, just grind. So
yeah. The
back
floating
to the grinder
ruins.
we go.
The floating ruins. I thought you were gonna say you needed to have a mayor mount, and that's the only way you could get up to there. I'm like, that's fucking bullshit,
Imagine.
dude. I'd be so rage. I'd DM
I'll
Steven
let
right
y'all
now.
know how it goes. Oh, that's funny.
So yeah, those are kind of the major changes that occurred with this weekend's playtest versus the previous weekends. Overall, I'm going to give it a A+ for improvement, server stability, playability, content. Just the general, even the little small things seems to have made a pretty significant difference. So with Alpha 2 and the nature of it being a persistent alpha, and having them said multiple times that they are going to try to keep wipes to a minimum if they can help it, that means we are able to test the game in a higher level range than we previously were. Before, if you were a true hardcore gamer, you could get to level 20 in a weekend if you just didn't sleep and didn't eat and literally all you did is nonstop grinding. But then it'll all be over and you can't do anything else because it's going to wipe, and then the next weekend is the new test. Well, now with the persistent testing, we're able to maintain our levels. So for example, a lot of us got to level 20 this weekend. So one of the questions I have here is, we've been talking about it a little bit within our own guild, is do we expect wipes? Even though they've said we're going to try not to do any wipes, do we expect them at all?
I don't know, me and some of the other guys I was grinding with, we assumed that there would be wipes at the beginning of phase 2. But like the more I look into it, the more I kind of think there won't be. Partially because I don't think there's going to be a big influx of players. I don't think there are going to be a lot of people who would buy a phase 2 key and not get the phase 1 key. Right, and so I think they'll probably expand the zones, do their updates just like they've been doing, and they might not wipe because a lot of people are gonna not be too happy about it. One thing, but also
Right.
that higher level content and node progression doesn't really start happening until you get to 10 or 20 or so, and stop focusing on progressing your character. And that's the stuff we're supposed to be testing in phase 2. Right, it's all about node testing, right?
True, that's a good point.
It's I don't know, it's tough. For me, it's a 50-50. At this point, I feel like it's whatever they feel would be best.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure they can do either or and still be fine with it. Now it's a matter of, I'll slightly disagree with you here, where I think there is gonna be a good influx of people coming in November 8th, because even here in the guild, we actually have quite a handful of people coming in and joining the guild, as well as some people who hadn't even been in a game yet that are in the guild that want that are going to play on November 8th. So that's just us alone in our little hemisphere, right? And so you can only imagine externally how big of a scale that looks like. Now, is it going to be crazy like we experienced, for phase 1? I don't think so. It's definitely going to be a good up, but it's not going to be that big. But outside of that, the thing that's happening right now that I can see where this is where it decides to tilt into one favor would be the node system on how that's going to work out. It's a lot of efforts going into it. Won't get too much into that right now, but if they do wipe, there's a whole lot of progress that was just spent many hours just quickly gone that has nothing to do with leveling. And so how will that work? Not sure. But I don't know. We'll see, man. It's a 50-50.
Well, it's another thing is they're adding Vaseline, So if they do add, like, I think they'll be adding a node or two in the desert and in the tropics, because they said they'll be expanding those zones, and then the outer edges of the developed areas, that'll be the new lawless zone.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting is if those are new zones, then they would probably become vassals of the nearby nodes that are already developed. And so
Right.
in order for people to go and progress those nodes, we would have to destroy the nodes we already have, some of them. But they also
True.
want to test the siege system, which is coming in.
Is that phase 2 as well?
It is.
So why would
nice.
we? Why are you saying we have to destroy some of the nodes we already have to test those ones?
Because they're locked out.
They'll become vassals. They won't be able to hit level 3
Oh.
unless, like, say the node in the desert is the vassal of Miraleth. So Miraleth, if it doesn't hit level 4, the node in the desert won't be able to hit level 3 until it does.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Right? So say Winstead hits level 4, Miraleth becomes the vassal of Winstead. Now it can't go to level 4. So its vassal in the desert would be locked at level 2. It couldn't progress. And people will want to go and explore the desert node and progress it, right? Most likely. And so they'll say, oh, let's destroy Miraleth, so it's no longer chained to it.
Right, which is going to be an interesting one, because Miraleth right now is a hot spot.
Mhm.
Hot spot.
Yeah.
And so, will it be worth it? Yeah, TBD. We got to see what other content's out there in the desert other than just level 30 things. Because right now, that's what it is the higher end mobs over there.
Yeah.
Content-wise, we're not what to expect,
Yeah.
Hopefully that... I think they said a raid at some point, right? Another raid's going to be over there, the Scorpion thing. So, will it even be worth destroying to go and level that up? Don't know.
Well, and that's
So,
and that's a good argument for them potentially not doing a wipe, is because if they're going to continue expanding that area and putting that higher level stuff in there, they obviously want us to test that higher level stuff. So it'd be kind of pointless to make everybody start over from scratch again to level all the way up so that they can get to that content and start testing it, as opposed to just letting it ride and people that are higher level can start advancing through those nodes.
yeah, because I mean, you think about it, depending on how big that area is, what the hell are we going to be able to do at level 1 through 10,
Right.
even going up to 20 in that
Yeah.
zone to give it XP? Jack shit other than gather. Even then, the gatherables over there are what, like, Journeyman Apprentice. So it's like that's a high end node. That's an end game node right now for us.
Yeah.
So it'll be a hard thing to tackle. I don't know how they're gonna do it, or again, it leans one way or the other. How they decide they're gonna want to do this.
True. I know Worldwide got to 20. I got to 20. I know Neo didn't get to 20, but Worldwide, how does the level 20 power shift feel to you? Is it too strong? Is it on par? What do you think?
For me, it was very small because all of the mobs we've been grinding to level drop like Ranger gear. So when Ruined hit 20, he decked himself out. He had like a full set of new gear, everything.
Right.
When I hit 20, what did I equip? I equipped pants that have con on them so they don't help Bard. I equipped earrings that have max mana, which is useless for Bard because I have pretty much unlimited mana.
Right.
And then I equipped the weapons. Those are the only real upgrade I got.
Yeah, I
So
think right
for
now.
me, yeah, mage gear is just scarce.
Yep. Agreed. Although
Truth. When I see somebody with an alien helmet, I'm like, whoa, that's epic. And it's like, dude, that's the second gear set after what is it, brass that you can buy? It's alien, you
Yeah.
can buy that at the stuff. So it's I can understand that.
I mean, from my perspective, it felt like it was pretty strong. Like, I didn't have all the gear that Ruin did. I got a weapon, or I got a wand, a focus, and a great spell sword on my cleric. And like just equipping those three things was like a little over 100 magical power rating boost. So I went from like 173 or something like that for my magical power to like 273. And I was like, my heals were fucking huge. Like, they were insane how good they were. And like, I felt strong to the point where like, when me and Ethan were doing node stuff and grinding, I was out there pulling like packs of 8 to 10 level 12 Grems and just AoEing them down as a cleric. Like, I was just ripping these dudes. And then we came into a PvP situation, and granted the guys were only like level 13, but I 1v2'd like 2 level 13s and one shot them both basically.
Golly.
And so like
That's crazy.
it felt like a pretty significant power shift, but then like, yeah, you're right. Rangers and fighters, I feel like, have the biggest jump because their gear is so much easier to come by. Like for you and me, worldwide, all we can really do is hope to go to Ruins of Cephalion and grind out some of that mage gear, but there's always groups farming those mobs and those named creatures
it's
there.
busy.
Yeah. So
I don't know. Grave Peak might be a move because don't they have the zombie casters over there and they're
Yep.
level 20,
Yep.
so they might drop level
Yeah.
20 caster gear. We have
That,
to try it
that
out.
definitely might be the move.
yeah, they're super high level too, and I think they have like 50 or 60k HP each or something like that. They're pretty tough mobs, but yeah, definitely be a place to try.
Yep.
PvP. So we mentioned it a little bit, but we got to do some PvP this weekend. What are y'all's thoughts on that? And like specifically like the open world PvP that we've kind of got to play around with a little bit.
This is good, man. It's fun. It's fun. You can definitely tell a party apart from an organized group to a pug group.
Yep.
You know, it's the cohesion's there, the shot calling's there. When you got a pug group in game, there is no VC, so it's just unless you're in Discord, hopefully somewhere in the Vira Discord maybe. But if you're not in there and you're just pugged up hoping to PvP, it's gonna be a mess. For a pug group, it's gonna be a mess, and we witnessed it firsthand.
Yeah.
We had a group we went up. They were contesting the Goblin Fields, and we wanted in, and they were like, "All right, let's PvP for it," and we did, and yeah, you know, it was what is it? How many people do we have in the party? 6.
Yeah, it's a 6v6. Yep.
6v6, and we came out with 6. So it was a pretty quick fight. I will say tank is tanky, which is good
Yep.
for PvP.
Which yeah, so at the either right here, I'll do a cut and I'll put in that video so people can see that what we're talking about, that shot calling, the communication, and how that PvP combat went, or I'll put it at the end of the podcast. But yeah, it was crazy. Like the last person alive on their team was the tank, and he was just running around while we were all just attacking him to try to bring him down. Yeah, he just eating damage.
So, thank you.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, it was impressive. Yeah, for sure. There was a lot of. I don't know, it was good to see some good practice in there. Can't wait for a bit later down the line when we start getting into more heavier PvP scenarios, because I love it. I love PvPing. Even though I'm a tank, it's still fun. There's some stuff that I want to try out now, more combos and things like that. So
obviously we had a. Oh, go ahead.
It's interesting to me. I wasn't there for that fight. I was running over because you were like, we need another bard, run over. And I was on my way. I was like over by Steel Bloom or something, so I missed it. But there's some classes have a lot of skill expression in PvP and some don't. I think Ranger, the skill ceiling is pretty low because I mean basically you just you pick somebody and nuke them. Like you're going to use pretty much the same abilities in the same order, unless you're against a fighter and you need to kite them. Right, that's the only time. I need to use my movement abilities to get out of the way. But on Bard, dude, there's a lot. All right, you've got an interrupt and a silence that's a quick cast. You can incapacitate a group of people or stun them. But they have to be close to you, and you don't want to be close to enemies as a Bard. You have the chains. What's it called? The one that incapacitates somebody for 10-second marionette. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Right, that one. So in 1v1s, it's really weird. It's super skill based because you want to stun them and marionette them when they've almost killed you, and then you can just heal yourself.
Yeah.
And then when it ends, you're full up. You know, they're hurting. It's
to say both health and HP and mana, right? At that point.
Yeah. So far, you can't really kill them because you just don't do that much damage. But
yeah,
it's not as weak as you'd think, and it's really annoying. But in groups, it's crazy strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nutty.
Mm-hmm.
Bard is essential. They're literally the what is it? The Swiss Army knife, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
Just many things all in one.
Mm-hmm.
Very utilized. It's crazy.
Yeah, and their ability just to maneuver around the battlefield almost ensures that they are not going to get caught out by anybody other than maybe a ranged. Like they're not going to get a fighter on them because they'll be able to easily get away from a fighter or a tank or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
I say surprising due to, again, this is some stuff I want to test out. The amount of CC I can stack if I spec into it is pretty obnoxious. There's a lot of kind of back and forth. You got to mess with some of your abilities to kind of keep it consistent, but the amount of time, if I were to burst all of CCs, I mean, it's probably longer than a bit over 10 seconds of just them sitting there getting wailed on. So
Yeah.
it can be pretty gross because the CC to go into those trips are dealing damage. There aren't just, oh, you've applied this thing now. Cool, it's a debuff. No, it's you're hitting them to then apply said trip. And so those are the combos that I was starting to see a little bit off of the tank that I was like, man, if I just go straight up into this, I mean, the CC can be disgusting and just let me wail on somebody for a while.
Well, and I think that's kind of
But-
where ruined, or where, God damn it, I keep calling you ruined. Where Worldwide was getting into, where Worldwide
I'm a
was getting
little
into the skill expression, because like I know for me as a cleric, and obviously you knew as a tank, and same thing with Bard. We have a lot of different things we can do in different situations and different specs that we can take depending on what we're doing. So like when we were doing the PvP stuff, I'll switch a few of my abilities in my spec tree that are more suited for PvP, like taking Condemn to put a target to sleep for 10 seconds, and to take I forget what the eagle wings thing is called that breaks you free from movement impairing effects. So there's definitely different routes that you can take in your skill selection or your spec tree that are tailored more for PvP versus PvE, which I think is good. Ranger, obviously, nah, not really. You just sit there and you snipe somebody for half their health or 3/4 of their health.
Yeah. Well, it depends. Once you get to 25, you can take most of the skills in your tree. Because right now, you get 24 skill points. There's only like 30 skills per class. They said that they only want you to be able to unlock a third of the skill tree. But does that mean they're going to reduce your skill points, increase the number of skills? I don't know. But right now, you can take almost everything once you're 25.
Yeah, I'm starting to find myself just like, what don't I want? Like,
Yeah, right, exactly. And like we're gonna go all whip to level 50, so presumably they're gonna be adding onto those skill trees and making them have more things, which I think is good. I don't remember.
Well, that's true. I don't think they're adding. I think you stop getting skill points at 25 because you're done with your primary archetype upgrades, and then you're doing your secondary archetype upgrades after that.
Really?
And they said
25,
that the augments don't require skill points, so I don't know how it'll work. Like,
That's
will you
weird.
upgrade and unlock all of your augments right at level 25, and then you're done? I have no idea.
Yeah,
So-
it's an interesting way they can do that.
So you think that the primary archetype skill tree ends kind of where we see it right now, and then after level 25, you're doing secondary archetype stuff?
I think that's the way it works. Yeah,
Huh.
or that's
Yeah, I
the way they said it was at one point.
Go ahead into the whole theory crafting here. It's, would you rather have a class have every ability available to them, and then it's just up to when they play what, or would you have, for instance, specking into certain things? So I'm sure if anyone's played a fighter or, for instance, tank, that's obviously what I can go into, is I can spec some of my abilities that have two options, whether into single target or AoEs. So I know every other class has something similar to the sort, right? They can go to different sagas for the bard. The mage can go into different elements and things like that. So if we get all of our skill points and get all of the abilities and everything's always laid out, then you can never truly know, all right, this guy's going to do anything and everything, just what he's going to probably focus on. Compared to, okay, what is this guy going to do? Is this mage going to dish out a lot of fire, a little bit of fire, more ice? What is it that class more focused on compared to mage 1 differentiates from mage 2, other than their secondary archetype? I would hope that we don't get them all. That way it kind of, we're going to need a different type of tank for this scenario, not just a tank, because a tank at certain level has everything we need, So that's what I would kind of, I guess, shoot for, because that enables a lot more diversity without even jumping into archetypes. Or secondary archetypes.
I really hope that there are a lot of different builds you can go into, right? Because it's going to be boring if every single person who's archetype 1 does exactly the same thing.
True.
Yeah,
It's like, and
it's
the
just-
archetype 2 just gives it a little bit of flavor, and it's like, well, that's not very fun. I'd prefer, you can make your own kind of identity within your class, and then hopefully the secondary archetype really changes the way you function a little bit at least.
Yeah.
And it's not just, your abilities work a little more this way because you went into fighter or whatever.
Right.
I think that's like the big kind of fear with the secondary archetypes is that they're just going to be flavor, right? And I think that's something that they really need to avoid. Secondary archetype has to have some impact on the way you play your class. It's got to.
I agree. Because, I mean, even it's like, oh, this is a flavor thing. Well, if we can go into... I mean, I guess I'll try and use tank for this. Is weird, but let's say we're gonna be, I do a lot of CC. Well, if I go fighter, tank, ranger, maybe those CCs now do a little bit more damage as I CC these guys. Maybe there's thorns attached to all the stuff that I'm doing, right? And so now it starts to vibe into, I'm more of a dot guy. I'm just dots really. If I'm gonna do any damage, I'm gonna rely on my dots more than anything. Well, if I do fighter, cleric, well, we get the paladin feel of things. Well, I don't do any damage. I'm stepping away. I'm more of the split of applying healing where it's missing and then supporting via tank and pulling out where it needs be, and I'm just really beefy. Or even then in that same kit, well, instead of pushing and giving out more heals, I'm focused on myself and I'm just, good luck killing me. I'm going to keep myself alive.
The self-sustain. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that right there in itself, just that little ball of the paladin has its own set of what build is that? If they can keep that and it's a tank fighter, they're going to be really beef. They're not going to probably out DPS a fighter, but they're going to give it a run for their money and expect some CCs involved. So, the dangerous combos I can see coming out of things like that could be awesome, but if they're just like, nice, you can hit harder, you got, you do bleeds. It's like, come on, man.
Your swings now have a red graphic on it instead of a blue graphic.
So I that's the stuff that I want to see. That's what everyone pictures when they hear 64 classes. They think that they're like, holy shit.
Right.
But it's either they live up to the hype or they let everyone down, or us as the consumers just set the bar low, which is going to have to probably be the case.
Yeah. Last thing I wanted to just quickly touch on the PvP system is the corruption. Have you guys had to deal with corruption being corrupted much at all? What do you think about it?
A little bit.
Not personally, but I was in a call when someone did it. It was or once again focusing on node things at the time. It was pretty funny. They're like, hey, there's this guy in here. He's pretty low level. And I was like, all right, just scare him off. Like, get him out of your area because you're farming that stuff. He's like, yeah. All right, I'll hit him with was an attack real quick, and he insta killed him. He goes, oh my fucking god! Like, I was too high level, I killed him. Like one hit and I killed him. I was like, oh god. And he goes, all right, well I'm corrupt. And he was corrupt 2, level 2, I think. I don't know if you go corrupt level 2 just off of killing someone in general, or if
I think it depends on the level disparity.
Right, and so that's what I was to say is it based off the level disparity? And if that's the case, awesome, it's working as it should be. That is going to. He now's learned. I'm not going to hit anyone within this threshold of low level again because he got into some debt.
Yeah, dude.
He was level 19 at the time.
That's what happened. That's exactly what happened to me when I was level 20 and I killed those 2 level 13s. I immediately got 2 stacks of corruption, and I just assumed it was because I killed 2 people. Maybe there is a level disparity factor there. I guess I couldn't say for sure. But at level 20, I think I needed like 1.7 million to get to level 21. I took 100k XP debt from killing one guy, and then when I got the second guy, it was like, well, I guess it worked differently because I killed myself afterwards. So I killed those 2 guys and I had 2 stacks of corruption, and I would drop 1 to 3 pieces upon death. Guards would try to attack me, so I took off all my gear. I gave all my glint and resources to Ethan, and then I went and died. When I died that first time, I took the 100k XP debt, and I was like, I still have 1 stack of corruption. I need to die again. So then I went and died again, and I took another like 50k XP debt. So I was like sitting at 150k XP debt just from killing those 2 players. And like I don't know, maybe it's. What do you guys think? Like, to me, that's harsh as fuck. Like,
it's hard.
Super
it
harsh.
The same thing happened to the guy who killed the level 2 or whatever.
Yeah,
because
oh man.
like he was like finding somebody to trade his resources to because he was farming the Grem for the node and he didn't want to lose his Grem
Carcasses,
carcasses.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's like, I don't the gears, whatever. But he took all his gear off and he traded the Grem carcasses. He went and died, and he took what like 130K or
It was
something.
bad. Yeah, it was like
And
150 actually.
but that strategy where you unequip your gear, you trade your stuff, you can't do that anymore.
I was
Right?
just going to
Somebody
mention that.
posted the
Yep.
patch notes.
Not
They were
no
like,
more.
if you're corrupted, there's no trading. You can't
There's
unequip
no.
your gear. You're
Yep.
done.
Yep. You fixed it.
You either grind it off or you're gonna die and drop your stuff.
Yeah.
And this is one thing. Throwing back to our first podcast, which was when we're referring to Ark and Conan Exiles and that kind of thing. There is no balance. If you want to just squash the little guy 24/7, sweet man, you do you, brother. Like that's the name of the game. Well, in Ashes, to prevent that, give the MMO a little bit of breathing space here. Is this corruption system? You can. It's discouraging you. Is that the right word? Discourage?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
discouraging you to go and gank the little guy. For that level 1, that was just, dude, I was minding my business, chopping down a tree or trying to harvest Grims, and here comes this guy, one-shots me. Sure, he doesn't see what happened to all our guilty there, but our guilty is now suffering. Holy, that was not worth it. That was not worth it. If those changes had been implemented with the I can't unequip my gear, I can't trade, he would have been fucked. And I can tell you what, I mean, all these other guilds on the server, they see a red player, they drool at the mouth at wanting to go kill him. There has been some, what is it called? Corruption luring, where
Oh.
somebody who's corrupted lures out other guilds and then they gank them. And so it's I'm glad it's working as intended, and coming up it's going to be better because we won't see that. We won't see the ganking as much, at least. Not seeing someone fight back is going to make the attackers, whoa, shit. He doesn't hit me back. Whoa. Like, let me leave. I don't want to auto attack on accident and kill this guy.
Right.
And now I'm corrupted. It's just the cons outweigh the pros. It just outweighs it by a mile.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm torn. I'm torn between thinking that's a good thing and that it's too harsh right now. Because if you want to go PvP somebody, you can do it if you want to. You're just gonna have to face the consequences of it. And I'm glad that it kind of deters the ganking mentality a little bit, because that's a lot of complaints that people have in other games that aren't PvPers. Is they just want to go about their life, living their best life, chopping their trees, hitting their rocks, grinding some mobs, without worry that some high level is going to run by them and just be like, deleted. And it's that's not fun for them either. So I said I'm torn. I'm more so leaning on the side of it's a good thing.
Yeah. And again, it's tough to try and find that line because, for instance, if you don't fight back, you're gonna drop more shit. Again, let's just say these carcasses, they're a dime a dozen. Are you gonna fight back if you got some carcasses on you, or are you gonna just say, all right, I'm just gonna let them kill me and drop all of your carcasses potentially? If you can fight back, you have the potential of winning, and even if you die, you don't drop too much. So it's like there's two more things in favor of you if you fight and win. So I think it does itself a good balance. I mean, with TBD, we'll see how it works out. But
TBD.
yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the last thing that I'd like to talk about, and this is the biggie, is the node stuff. And Neil, I'll let you kind of take the lead on this a little bit, but for anybody that doesn't know, there are 5 nodes currently, 5. Mirrorleth,
5.
Is it 5? Okay, thank you. 5 nodes in the game right now. Each node, once they get to level 3, they can have an election, in which point a mayor can be elected, and that mayor controls certain aspects of the node's progression. So we got buy orders and commissions and things like that. So Neil, why don't you go and take it away and tell me what you thought about your experience as being the mayor of New Ayla.
Oh man, I'm gonna do a plug on this immediately because without the Vira Discord, it takes some things a lot longer to get done. It'd be a lot more difficult to communicate. And on the podcast with Lud Lloyd that I was on, with the other mayors and whatnot, it was communicating to citizens is a bit tough. because, for instance, we're working in unison with the other mayors. That way, the server itself has a complete uh, uh, available options for every player on the node in the server to get the options to go to each node and get a different thing. We're not doubling down on stuff that isn't going to do anything other than compete with a node you can't siege. It's just going to sit stagnant forever until updates come out. Which, do we want to wait for that, or do we want to, have all these nodes up and then let conflict rise later? We'll do that later. Right now, we want to give everyone the opportunity to test everything. And so if we have each building and each node that's different from each node, then, we're setting everybody up for success, not just trying to monopolize on something. So, with that in mind, it's interesting. It's a grind. First off and foremost, it is a grind. Really big guilds are able to kind of get a grip on that because they have a lot more manpower to kind of just go and push and gather. But we have several, I think 2-3 other guilds in our node in Nuela, and we're smooth sailing. I mean, we were pumping stuff out. Friday comes. I think within the first hour, we're gonna finish that building, the buy orders, because all the buy orders out. And that's the hardest part. I think that's the biggest grind at the moment is buy orders. So a buy order comes out for the building. This is like the preemptive work, getting the bricks to then get the construction going, and then when you get that, then you can put the plot down to then construct said building and put the materials in there. It's tedious. It is very, very tedious, but with several of the guilds kind of involved, there's a lot of communication going on, even from those who aren't guilded up, who are just Nuela citizens that don't have a guild attached to their name. In the Vira Discord, they're asking questions. They're like, hey, what's this? What's on the agenda? What's next? When the building plot goes down, what do we need? And luckily, ourselves, other guilds are preemptively have all the materials. So once the plot goes down, the building's up. It's just a matter of time at that point for the process to happen. It's been fun though.
So the buy orders, like, I'm trying to think. When we were doing the buy orders, we were doing in the textiles, so like the linen textiles, and we needed like the Grem carcasses. Yep. You needed like 5 Grem carcasses and what was it, 5, let's say Snowdrop or whatever, to turn in for one buy order.
10.
Is it 10? And you needed like
10 Snowdrop, per 5.
And you needed what? How many buy orders? Like 150 or something insane where you end up needing 225. So 5 times 225 is what? 1,000 and something Grem carcasses.
We were a lot.
Like insane grind.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's definitely crazy.
Not all the buy orders are that hard. Some of them are like, what is it?
Wood
like 10 wood, 5 copper.
Yeah.
So we were doing some of the harder buy orders, and that's why it took us so long.
Yeah.
Those Grem carcasses, you get one at a time.
Yeah.
If you clear like a field of Grem, and then you have to wait for them to respawn, it's not like, oh, I'm just gonna go cut down some oak trees, and I'll have 100 wood, and that's enough for 10 buy order.
Yeah, they're actually rare.
Mm-hmm.
To find a docile Grem that you can click on and get one Grem carcass from is just like, oh my god. And then it creates its own like shortage of that particular resource, especially on those harder ones. Same thing with the rubies. When we were having to collect the rubies, is you have everybody out there farming for these rubies, and then everybody in the other nodes is doing the same thing because they need the same materials, and so it creates like a even more of a scarcity for those resources. It's crazy how that impacts the server as a whole. Their ability to get those resources.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just thinking.
It's funny because then, everyone's just doing the grind at that point. Well, people who aren't in certain nodes, there's opportunists. There's opportunists out there, and there was somebody who, in the global, they were like selling 35 rubies.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa! Slash whisper, hey, how much are you selling them for? How many do you got? What are the rarities? Is it, that much for each one? And I mean, I was blowing them up, and they're like, yep. I was like, I'll see you in a minute. Where are you at? Nuela. I'm in Winstead. It'll be a while. I was like, no, it won't. Whoosh! And I just zoomed over there, and but it's, they made a quick buck off of me.
Yeah, the side hustle. The side hustle that can make, if you know what nodes are going for and what resources they're going to need, if you can farm those ahead of time, stockpile them up, and then when that guild or that mayor is at the point where they need them, Yeah, hey, I got like 150 gram carcasses. How much, silver a piece for them, or whatever. Yeah, it's a side hustle for sure.
Yeah, I'd be doing like 5 silver a piece, maybe 10, just cause. I mean, you can up price them because they need it. They need it to make their buildings, and so it's either they waste the time, or with the money they have probably laying around, because you can't really do much with your money at the moment. You just spend it for the stuff that you need.
Oh,
Right.
you can enchant. That'll take all your money.
Oh,
True.
it's true.
Yeah.
Oh God, enchanting. Oh man, can't wait for that. I have yet to enchant
rough.
anything.
We'll have to save that topic
That'll
for
be
another time because that's an interesting one too. But
That's a level 20 thing.
yeah, exactly. You don't be wasting your gold on pre-level 10 or even pre-level 20 gear. But so, and like you said, like the mayors are working together. The mayors are coordinating on the server or on the realm, the Vira realm, to build their nodes in a way that makes sense and that benefits everybody on the realm. So we don't have people doubling up on buildings and things that are not going to give us any kind of bonuses. And I think that's maybe a misconception that some people have, is that like, oh, whatever guild controls a node, oh, that's going to become the rich guild. And that's like not the case at all, because you can't take money out of the node as like an individual. So there's nothing you can do with it. So it behooves you to, if you want to stay in your spot as a mayor, you got to provide things for the realm that they're going to appreciate and that they're going to want.
Yeah, we're actually the ones spending the most time just to progress the node, and then everyone can use the node, not just us.
Right.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if you're a citizen of Winstead. You can walk down to our node, use the hide works.
Yep.
Right?
Say sweet, thanks, peace, losers, like, and then walk out. But what one cool thing is too is like the mayor can give insider trade to an extent, sure, but what the hell are you gonna get other than node bucks right now? You know what I mean? Like, the insider trading thing. So it's like, if we say, I'm gonna tell my guild, hey guys, we're sold.
You're cutting out again.
Yeah.
Are you serious? What the fuck?
Are you covering your mouth when you're talking into the mic?
A little bit when I do this. Can you still hear me?
Yeah. I can.
How about now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Dude, what the fuck? I don't know. Damn it, dude! Right at the end.
It's all right. I'll just cut this in when you pick it. Just try it again. I'll cut it in to where you started initially.
So, if I was trying to say like, oh, let me go ahead and give the guild the insider scoop of, hey guys, we're gonna need some wood and basalt. Get that while you can before I put it out as a buy order. It's like, what do you get 10 node bucks if I max out the thing?
Yeah.
You can only buy so much of that thing anyways. And all you're not getting any gold monetary value out of it other than some of the node bucks, which they're good. They're valuable. At a later time, they're going to be fantastic for freeholds. But for now, there's not much going on with it. Maybe at a metropolis level, or even where do we at a village? So at a town or city. What's the next one?
I'm pretty sure it's town.
Yeah, because we're at village right now, then
stage,
town.
Yeah, maybe even then. But right now, to maximize gathering tools, so that people within the node or whoever else in the realm want to get up to journeyman, we need 2 supporting buildings. So we're either going to need a farm or the cemetery, I think it's called a memorial site or something like that, or we have to double up on farm in order to get the maximum benefits of the gathering tools. That way we can use higher end stuff at the benches. Otherwise, you can upgrade your benches all the way, but if you don't have the tools, what are you gonna do with them? Nice benches, dude. Like, you can't put anything in there in the first place. So that in itself is like, each node is limited practically to focusing on 2 things. The stoneworks or the smithy. The 2 things. The other 2 buildings are gonna be support buildings. It's gonna get crazy. It's interesting to see what changes are gonna happen there. So
yeah, very cool. Super cool. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there, unless either of you have anything else to mention about nodes or anything like that. So last thing I kind of want to just briefly touch on is this upcoming weekend, November 8th. So in 2 days, the first wave of the Alpha 2 key people are going to be able to join us. So if you have that, be on the lookout for your emails. Probably get an email Thursday, maybe even Friday morning with the information to download and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to throw in some plugs here as we do, but if you are considering playing the game, we on our guild, the Divine Order, we play on the Vira Realm. We do have a unofficial Vira Realm Discord, which currently has, I think, over 600 people in it. So if you decide that
now.
Yeah, so if you decide that you want to play on the Vira Realm, hop in that Vira Realm Discord and you can chat with other people. There's a bunch of other guilds in there. If you're looking for a guild, there's recruitment, there's all sorts of stuff, very helpful stuff in that Discord, and I'll plug that link down below. Also, check out our other videos. This is episode 3, so we still got episode 1 and episode 2 that you can check out on our channel if you if you haven't seen those yet. If you're interested in joining, I'll have joining the guild. I'll put a link to our Discord down below where you can join it as initiate and kind of get a feel of the guild, and we can get a feel for you if it's going to be a good fit. And yeah, so again, thank you everybody for watching this episode of the Ashen Insight podcast. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and throw us a like down below, throw up a comment. We're pretty interactive with everybody. So yeah, thanks everybody, and have a good one.